When we left Joseph yesterday, he was in prison and he was still serving God, even though life didn't make sense, even though once again he was at a low point, once again he'd been forgotten, once again he had been abandoned. He was still serving God. Today, we see something amazing. God comes through and moves him from being in prison all the way up to being second in command in the most powerful country in the world at this point. You know, when I read this, I cannot help but think about Romans 8:28. For we know that all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purposes. God's plan seems to take forever sometimes, but then all of a sudden, boom, it hits us. It happens slowly and then suddenly. God works things out, and he is constantly working out for our good, even when we can't see it. And then all of a sudden, after all these years, after all these months, however long it takes, of us staying faithful, God just puts everything together. And all of a sudden it makes sense. You know, I feel like most of life is spent in these waiting points, when we're just waiting for God to just come through. I can't tell you how many times in my life I have prayed and prayed and prayed, asking God to give me something that I knew he wanted for my life. And he was just waiting, and it just didn't make sense. There have been multiple jobs that I have just been praying and praying and praying that God would give me. And then all of a sudden, I get a call from somebody I wasn't really expecting, and within just a few days, I'm moving on from a job I hate to a job I love. God is constantly working out for our good. We have to stay faithful to him when life doesn't make sense. Because all of a sudden, things are going to change. And all of a sudden, we are going to be in a completely different situation. And that time of waiting is preparing us for something much bigger. You know, I can't imagine how much stress Joseph felt trying to interpret the dream of Pharaoh, the most powerful man in the world. But I'm sure it helped knowing that he had accurately interpreted the dream of the cupbearer and the baker, and that God helped him do that. And so he knew that God would also help him interpret this dream of Pharaoh. Whatever you're going through right now, God is preparing you for something bigger. Stay faithful, because what you're going through today is going to give you confidence later down the road. Confidence in God, and you're going to have the opportunity to share the gospel in ways that you have never imagined. That's what stands out to me when I read Genesis chapter 41. Come back tomorrow and we'll talk about Genesis 42.